Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah! I've been crashing out recently. I've been crashing out recently. I'll admit it. I've been crashing out recently, but it happens. It happens. The point is to just keep going. But irrespective, can you hear the music? Can you hear the music? For me, the first time I heard classical music, I was around 9, maybe 11 years old, I believe, in secondary school in Hong Kong. I went to a school, everyone thought I was an idiot, they were very mean to me, didn't really give me too much of an edge on anything, but the first time my consciousness, my kind of flight to higher reason actually came alive was when I was sitting in a music class and someone started to play a sample of, I didn't know it yet, but it was Mozart. Dum, 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 dum. And I didn't necessarily like it, but it felt so deep. The gravity felt like it was literally pulling on the moral constituent kind of axiomatic principles and raisons in me. And it just kind of came to life like Megatron or Optimus Prime or something. It was very intense. And I remember it to this day, sitting down, listening to that dum, 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 da, right? Something about that, right? Dum, dum, dum. It was like a scene from The Matrix, a kind of waking up scene, like, what the hell? I have no idea. I'm playing Handel right now. It's Passacaglia. I spoke a little bit about this in my video talking about the reality of God before I was rudely interrupted. But no, for me, the classical music, the classical sound, the organ, the violins, the Vivaldis, the classical, the Tchaikovskys, the Shostakoviches, the Brahms, the Mahlers, the Beethovens, the Bachs. They're my raison for living. They're my Will zum Leben. They're my philosophy extemporized into music. They're the beats of my drum. They're my war cry. They're my war cry. And it's for a good reason. I am no longer who I am when I'm listening to this music. I have transcended. I'm with the angels. I am in heaven. As I always say, the reason why the music speaks to me and the reason why it's so powerful is because there is nothing on this earth I would sacrifice for the ability to listen, hear, and mimic the music of classical sound. Nothing. I don't know. For me, it's personal. For me, it's almost as if they're the only people that can hear me, that can understand me, that can let me personify thoughts, the intangibles, the liminals, the ephemerals, like the things that you can't touch, but they feel so real and concrete. I've been obsessed with Handel recently, the great British composer responsible for pieces like Zadok the Priest, coronation songs, Messiah, Hallelujah. He's fantastic, but I don't know, I can't really place my hand on what it is about him. But I was talking to the bloody AI again, and I said, well, what is a Passacaglia? Why is it so great? And it says, well, the Passacaglia is constructed to constrain. The way the actual sheet music, the way you're meant to play the Passacaglia is meant to be like the same the same line of notes or keyboard kind of key notes, but it's within the individual to kind of use that constraint for freedom. You use the rigid constraints to create like an innovative way to transcend over the heights of those constraints by kind of, the brilliance of the composer. I talked about it a little bit in my thesis, as I said, the asymmetrical symmetries or the symmetrical asymmetries of the composer and the music, but the beauty of it is music does not need an articulate. It does not need someone to defend it. It does not need me to articulate why it's so great. It just is.